Good morning, everybody. Jim Fleiss and Hank Goldberg from Las Vegas. It is an exciting week. Basketball from 9 o'clock in the morning till almost midnight. Hank, it's pretty exciting, and you're doing well.
I had a great day yesterday. I went and got the racing form, and they split the Rebel Stakes, and Baffert's got two odds-on favorites running, and it's going to be tough to beat in those races. But I've got one in the 10th race there, the second half, that could pay a price coming in underneath that I'll put out there for our subscribers. Maybe you can get paid on the gimmicks there. The first leg looks like it's pretty formful. But you know what? It's all about the horses coming in from the West Coast. Yesterday they had a startling announcement from Santa Anita. Another horse went down, and they came out with an announcement there that on race days, no horses can run with medication anymore. That's their new rule. So what they've done is they've tried to shift the blame for the injuries to the horsemen away from the management there. This is war now, and if they stick to that, Breeders' Cup is going to move out of there, and where they'll go is Churchill Downs will welcome them. And it won't, and they can move there easily. And the good thing about Churchill is there's no tax. But this is an incredibly stupid announcement that they're making. No medication on race day.
Wow. It's a shame. I know they closed the track, and I was shocked to hear that they were still using the track, and another horse died.
Yeah. They just opened it.
Oh.
They opened it for workouts the day before yesterday.
What the hell's wrong there? What is going on? What is it's a surface of the track that's so bad?
The surface is, they let the surface go, and the weather didn't help, and it's not fit for racing.
Wow. It's absolute.
And they opened it up again too soon.
Absolute disaster. I'm surprised that PETA, the organization that protects animals or tries to, hasn't really gotten involved yet.
They're going to be involved.
I would hope so. I would thought they'd been
but
involved.
But you know something? But let's not bury the lead here. And that is, they had a press conference after the other horse went down yesterday, closing the track again, and saying that from this, their new rule is no medication can be used on race days. That's unbelievable. That's the European rule. But you know something? Horses run on medication all over this country on race day. And to come out with a rule like that is saying, we don't want you racing here. And somebody issued a pretty good text saying, after the press conference, saying, no medication on race days. The next announcement coming out there is condos to be built soon.
Yeah, probably right. Well, that's a shame. I always enjoyed going to that track, but I hate to hear what's going on. They gotta fix it before they put horses on the track again. No medication. No, you said Europe, but I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that. So in Europe, they do not use medication on race days?
You can't run on Lasix in Europe.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Do you think, that's a European rule versus the American rule that does allow it? What do you think of that rule?
Well, Lasix is, it's always been that way, and horses that come over here from, it's a handicapping factor that a lot of these horses that come over here from Europe and they use Lasix for the first time run a lot better. And it's just an anticoagulant. It's not a harmful drug.
Does it help with soreness and things like that? or
No, it's an anticoagulant. Helps with your breathing.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, shifting gears to the NCAA conference tournaments. What do you think about today? There's some great matchups, including Duke and North Carolina.
Well, Duke looked pretty good. I'll tell you, Zion, he looked pretty good yesterday. He set a record in his first game back. He didn't miss a shot. First time in history of the program that anybody was successful taking more than 12 shots and didn't miss one. And he was, and they used him sparingly in the game. And Syracuse gave him a pretty good game for a while. You know, they had Duke jumped out to a big lead in the game, and then Syracuse suddenly started making some outside shots. And then Duke came on at the finish and covered the spread and sent the game over, actually. So it was good for me. In fact, I swept the board on the ACC games yesterday. North Carolina covered. I did not sweep the board. I'm sorry. I lost the Virginia Tech game, and they lost that game on a 3-point shot by Florida State that tied it at the buzzer. Otherwise, I would have gone 4 for 4 in the ACC. Virginia's got Florida State today and Duke, Carolina. But there's some other good games. Kentucky's got Kentucky's a pretty rich number. Michigan State is playing Ohio State today. You got Kansas in action. Texas Tech was upset. I think the big story in that tournament is West Virginia.
Yeah.
He's got them playing pretty well all of a sudden.
Yeah, Huggins has got that team playing well. He lost some players to injuries, and then got rid of some players that were kind of malcontents. And the freshmen that are playing, they're playing with abandon. They don't know they're not supposed to win, and they dominated that game. It was never close.
Nope. And Mississippi State playing Tennessee. That's a good game today. Nevada Reno's playing San Diego State. Kansas Kansas had a good game against Texas. Kansas now plays West Virginia today. I think that'll be the end of the run for West Virginia, but we'll see. Minnesota, Purdue, Big Ten. Lots of good games around. Nebraska, Wisconsin will be a good game.
Yeah, Nebraska's playing shorthanded. They only play like 5-6 guys. A back-to-back game might actually hurt them.
I think one of the best games of the day is Kansas State and Iowa State. Iowa State is really playing well right now. Watch out for that one.
Yeah, you're right. They are, and if they put it together, they can really do some damage. There's no question. They're a good team. You know, in the beginning of the year, a lot of people thought that they were going to go really far, and they had an off season with a lot of turmoil in that clubhouse and on that team. But when they got it together, they're very strong.
You know who's looking at our condition team right now is Oregon. He's a good coach. They deserve some consideration.
Well, anything from the West Coast, I try to stay away from. I can't figure out the Pac-12 at all. I'm lost with that conference.
Well, Arizona State is playing well right now. Bobby Hurley's done a good job with that team. And like I said, Oregon is playing well. And, Washington. Those three teams, I think, are all deserving of at least some consideration.
You have the top 4 teams. What do you think would be going in there? Does Duke move up from what they thought was the 2 line up to the 1 line because he's back?
Well, they're a different team, that's for sure. And, it's not just him, but, excuse me, they beat North Carolina, they move right back into a top seed.
Yeah, North Carolina would drop, they'd go up. That's probably the right thing.
Well, actually, I misspoke. If they beat North Carolina, they're going to probably play Virginia in the final of the conference.
Yeah.
So the question is, would you take two teams out of the same conference and rank them among the top two? You know, Virginia and and Duke, or whoever wins Duke North Carolina game.
If they belong and they appear to, I think Virginia, Duke, North Carolina are three of the. I mean, I can't name three other teams that they look really good.
Those three teams look good, but I'll tell you something. If Michigan State gets through the Big Ten tournament, you got to put them in there somewhere.
True, very true. It's going to be interesting. You know, if you're in the tournament, you can win it. I mean, we saw that with UConn years ago. It can happen. You just get on a run. But yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Marquette woke up yesterday.
Marquette's a very good team. I like them a lot. The problem I have with them is they depend so much on the one guy and the three-point shot. And that's a fickle shot. You know, you get a day where you're hitting 40%, and another day you'll hit 25%. They're very solid. The Big East is like 10 teams. You could throw a blanket over them. I mean, Seton Hall just came out and played great, and Xavier is going up against Villanova today, and Xavier, they're very tough, and Villanova came back with a win after being in a slump, but you know, Xavier's kind of physical and big, and they match up well. Play at the same tempo. That's a great tournament in the Big East. I mean, there's a lot of good games there.
Meanwhile, watching the pros a little bit, and I've been watching the West Coast teams, and Golden State came through the other night without one of the top two guys, and came through with a narrow win. That was a good game.
Very good, yeah. Very good. It's well, they have a lot of quality athletes on that team. You sit in one, there's still a lot of good guys. Portland's playing well. They got those two great guards, and if they can carry a team. They got some other guys that chip in, do a good job. I like them today.
Celtics are playing well.
Celtics are tough. Yep. Yes. Very good. Yeah. Anything else, Hank, you want to talk about?
There's a couple of good football games this weekend. I think you got Orlando. Orlando has scored 149 points. Spurrier's done a good job with that team. They host Arizona this weekend. San Antonio is playing pretty decently right now. San Diego has come on. Bordovici had a decent game, and head coach Marks is doing a good job with them. They host Birmingham. That's a decent matchup this weekend, so we'll take a look at those games. I've been doing pretty well with that.
Yeah, well, you have been. Excellent job. But you know, before we get off, I know it's not NFL season, but there's been a lot going on this week with free agency. You got A.B. Brown going from Pittsburgh out to the Raiders. You got Odell Beckham being traded from the Giants to the Browns. What are the Giants doing? What kind of a plan could they possibly have there? Or what they're doing?
Got me. I can't answer that question. But they certainly have gotten rid of a lot of their quality players. And I would think that they're putting themselves in a position where they're going to draft a quarterback. That's the only thing I can decipher out of all their moves.
Now, Kyler Murray had in the what do you call it? He had a day the other day where he threw the ball, and they said he was excellent. It's effortless for him to throw the ball, long distances, sharp passes, and he's very accurate. And do you think he is the number one? Do you think he should be the number one draft choice?
Well, the guys who know these things a lot better than I do say that with this year's crop, he's the number one guy. If last year's crop was coming out, he'd probably be 6th or 7th.
Oh, really? Wow. Wow. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, that's based on the guys who do drafting for a living.
Yeah, we you can take that with a grain of salt, I guess. I mean, they told Elvis he couldn't sing. They told Johnny Unitas he couldn't play football. And
Well, I mean, when guys like Charlie Casserly say that, I respect it. Casserly was in the business for a long time with a couple of different teams. I'm not just talking about guys who have, blogs.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, these are people who've been around. They know football. I respect that. I mean, I watched Kyler in college. I mean, he's a very sharp passer. He's much more than just a runner. He really can throw the ball. The question, of course, is his size, his physicality. Can he take a hit? He can take a hit. I don't know if he can take a lot of hits. And I hope if he goes somewhere, well, he's going to go somewhere. I hope he gets an offensive line that can give him some protection, because that's a tough league. And he is not very big, but he has the talent. There's no question. Anything else, Hank?
Yeah, they said the same thing about Drew Brees.
They did. They definitely did. And Russell Wilson, he's not very big either.
I thought it was interesting what happened with the backup quarterback at New Orleans.
Bridgewater
turning the Dolphins down, and he's from there, to stay as a backup in New Orleans for another year. And he could have gone to the Dolphins and probably had a starting job there.
Well, I guess there could be a number of reasons involved in that are not even football related. He did come off a tremendously horrible injury, and if you go behind a bad offensive line, which Dolphins don't have much in that regard, you're looking at getting a lot of hits, and there could be a fear factor involved in that. When he did that, just the first thing that came to mind is that's a bad team. The Dolphins are a bad team, and he may not want to take that kind of punishment if he stays with the Saints. He's off the field. He's got a good paycheck, and if Breeze gets hurt or retires, he can step right in behind a better team, better offensive line than he will be with the Dolphins. I don't know that that's a factor, but he almost lost his leg, and he was out for 2 years. I mean, so it has to wear on your mind a little bit.
I think that has a lot to do with it. The Dolphins, if he reads the odds, they're the highest rated team, or the worst rated team as far as next season is concerned. So he'd be going to the worst team in football according to the odds makers.
Yeah. I think Bridgewater's a smart young man. I think personally, after what he went through, I think he made the right decision. But,
By the way, I got a team that I'm watching in the basketball tournament that I think they can go a long way, and that's Houston.
I agree. I agree. They're 29-2, ranked 11th in the country, which I think is too low, or too high, I should say. No, too low. I think they should be higher than. They should be in the top 10 somewhere. But you know, the question with a lot of these number one seeds of teams that you know are going to get in is whether they come with the same passion. They're up 4-0 right now in the first quarter, first half, I should say, and over Connecticut. They're a 12-point favorite, 11.5, 12-point favorite today. That's a situation where Houston knows they're in. They're 29-2. They're excellent. I really like the way they play basketball. Excellent team. And if they come to play, they should win this game and cover the spread. If they come to play, I don't know what their intensity is for this one, but they haven't slumped very much this year, that's for sure. Yeah, I agree with you, Hank. They're a dangerous team. I don't know if we're going to be able to. Anybody's going to be able to knock off a Duke or any of these smaller schools that are going to come in there and give it a try. And I'd like to see some of these smaller schools in, rather than putting teams in like an Indiana or a Texas or somebody like that, who I don't think they belong. I'd like to see some of these smaller, these really good teams from the smaller conferences get in. It makes it more exciting, and give them a shot. But I don't know anybody to knock off a team like a Duke or a North Carolina, Gonzaga. You know, these teams are loaded with top quality talent, and it's.
You're a regular Joe Lenore there.
Well, I do a lot of reading. It's just the way the deck is kind of stacked. I mean, you get this top quality athletes. It's not every day you get a small school with like a Steph Curry, and it's hard to, they're out there, but I like to see it because it makes it so exciting. Like Loyola Chicago last year, it's exciting for the sport. If every game is always the top teams that everybody knows about, it's not as exciting. But anyway, it's still fun. We can still make money betting on these games. And Hank, Friday, have a great weekend, and we'll talk again on Monday. And feel good. I'm glad.
Okay, have a good weekend, Jim.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Hank.
Thank you.
Okay, bud. Take care.
All right, we'll talk.